Comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Out of the box, thrown in front and tapped home. Connor McDavid has hit 50. Barron, 5, Hughes, backhand, he's out.
Welcome to another edition of the Dump and Change Show, an NHL betting show hosted by myself, Jonny Lazarus, and Keith Kavanaugh. It is the St. Patrick's Day edition. We will be having a nice Guinness in a bit with Sara Civian, our friend from BR Open Ice and the NHL. We're going to talk to her today. But before we do any of that, a lot of action going on in the NHL. We've had some stinkers in our best bets the last two nights. I think we've lost our last 4 straight. So we're looking to get back in that win column. But before I say anything more, Keith, happy St. Patrick's Day. You're in theme with the Devil's hat. I have nothing green, I don't think, so I don't have anything to wear. But what's going on, brother? You drunk yet?
Not yet, unfortunately. It's coming soon. As soon as we're done recording, I'm going to tear Hoboken to the ground tonight. Basically, but yeah, I was debating on coming on this show with a brown paper bag over my head because of the losers that we've been giving out to our listeners, which we're upset about. But at the same time, we're just finding good value. It's going to happen. And we're ready to get back at it tonight. There's 4 games tonight, and then we have a big weekend slate. Also, we got some college basketball obviously happening, which is making NHL take a backseat to some extent, but we're still riding with our NHL bets and our NHL show.
We couldn't stay hot forever.
We couldn't, but I'm just blessed to be in the presence of an influencer. If you guys haven't heard, Jonny is the newest influencer for Faraday clothing. And if you use promo code, I want to say it's 20 Lazarus or Lazarus 20, you get 20% off.
Get it right.
You get
Lazarus
20% off your order, and you guys should really take advantage of this. You also get a free picture of Jonny with the order.
Actually, I'm wearing Faraday right now. It's my favorite clothing brand. And yeah, Lazarus 20% off. Great clothes. If you're going on a date, a nice shirt to wear. I have a date Saturday night, so I'm excited.
Wow.
I'll be wearing the new one in the picture I posted. But
can we have Sarah dress you and style you for this date when she comes on?
She commented on the Instagram that I'm getting added to the style ranking. So maybe we'll ask her about that when she hops on. But
Let's
yes,
go.
I got a lot of shit for that picture, but hey, I'll take it. You know, it's just part of the gig, I guess. But yeah, you want to start talking about just the stories around the National right now, or what do you want to get
I'm
into
ready
first?
to snap it around the National right now. The first thing I'd like to talk about was Wednesday's game, the Thursday night, the TNT, the second of the doubleheader. We had the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild. And the first thing I want to talk about is why were the linesmen not letting Marc-Andre Fleury fight Jordan Binnington after he used his stick and tapped Ryan Hartman right on the nads? First off, that's painful. Second off, Binnington's an absolute menace to society. If anyone's going to shut him up, I love Fleury's like, let's go. They had the mic'd up of him running, which I think was great, and I just think they shouldn't have stopped that.
Hey, let's go. Let's go. No, let's go. Come on. It'll be good. No. He always goes with everybody. He always fights everybody, you know? Okay. It'll be fun, no? Get the crowd going a bit, you know? I'll just get myself. I don't like having my hair like this, you know? He's gone.
No, I agree. And Marc-Andre Fleury, what a legend, right? He's just a super cool guy. I actually got to talk to him for like 2 minutes when I was in Minnesota with Bleacher like a couple months ago. I love everything that Binnington does. Like, I am not like, you know, he needs to be out of the league, like fuck Binnington, whatever. Like, I am there for the drama. I tweeted it right after. Like, the NHL needs a villain, right? Like, every sport needs a villain, not only the NHL, but it's good to have the guys that you love to hate. And Binnington somewhat embraces that role. He loves being that guy to start shit and stir the pot. And I thought, you know, TNT did a great job too. I think it was Biz, like at the end of the game when they interviewed Rebo, someone squirted water on Rebo during the interview, and Biz was like, "Is that Binnington or whatever?"
They should be covering your escrow. Is that Binnington? Is that Binnington?
No, he knows better than that. That was old moves.
Rebo, thanks so much for your time. Great game tonight.
Awesome game,
All right, thanks,
Rebo.
guys.
If you don't want Binnington in the NHL because of his antics, then what do you want? Like, do you want perfect? Like, listen, obviously we want professional athletes to be role models and you know, good citizens in society and whatnot. But you need those loose cannons that make it fun and give us things to talk about. You know, if everyone was so well behaved, hockey would not be the sport it is. So I love it. And you know, Binnington probably, and Fleury too, understood that's a TNT game, a national game. if Fleury's not mic'd up, maybe he's not going down there so aggressively, but he knows that he's putting on a show. But I fucking loved every second of it.
Yeah, and I think like you mentioned too, I love hating Jordan Binnington, but I don't want him out of the league. I don't want him to
Well, there are
stop what
people
he's
saying
doing.
that.
That's insane to me. I don't want him to stop what he's doing. I love it. I embrace it. He got a 2-game suspension, a little slap on the wrist, a little stick tap, like nothing crazy. And I think just from that perspective, I think Fleury and him should have fought straight up. Like that just would have been great content for the league, in a league that needs content, right? The NHL is kind of behind the other leagues in terms of how much revenue they're generating, how much just engagement they're getting overall. And I think that would have been huge for it. And all you get is you get the mic'd up, which is good. But I also think I love when Fleury kind of pushed the linesman off. He's like, let us go. Like I'm ready to fight this guy.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Whatever he said. Fleury's the best. He's awesome.
Yeah. And then one game I did want to touch on yesterday was that absolute crazy game in Florida versus Montreal. We had 10 goals in the first period, 7 alone by the Panthers, which was a franchise record. The over-under live after the first period was 14.5, which didn't hit because the game ended 9-5. However, I just thought that was crazy. People were loving it. The over hit literally 9 minutes into the game, which is insane.
That's actually absurd. 9 minutes into the game and the over hits. The over almost hit twice.
And the worst part is I had 2 bets on that game. If you were to tell me that the Panthers would have scored 9 goals and Matthew Tkachuk wouldn't have over 3.5 or 4.5 shots and Eric Stahl wouldn't have a goal, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, Florida's one of those teams that's buzzing. They're like 3 points back of the playoffs right now, and they could sneak right in over Pittsburgh or the Islanders. So look out for the Florida Panthers. They haven't really been talked about a lot this year early on, but they're coming for everybody right now.
It's tough, too, when you lose a couple star players like Huberdeau and Weegar, and then you're also implementing a new coach with Paul Maurice and his system. It's never going to click right away. Barkov obviously had his injuries early on in the season, so I think the Florida Panthers are now starting to click a little bit as they look to claim one of those final 2 wildcard spots.
100%. But I think we should go into tonight's slate. We got a lot of games this weekend as well, Saturday, Sunday, that we'll talk about before we do talk to Sarah. But let's focus on the Friday night slate. We're going to give you our 4 bets: the underdog, the prop bet, the storyline, and the best bet. So just keep that in mind. They're all different. They all have different value, and we believe in some more than others. But with that being said, Keith, do you want to kick it off with your underdog bet for the night?
Yeah, so my underdog bet is going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets on the money line at plus 105. This game just feels like really a coin flip kind of game, 50-50. It's a matchup between 2 of the worst teams in the league. It's another one of those Connor Bedard watch games, which is funny because the bottom teams really don't seem to be wanting to get Connor Bedard because they keep winning games, which is hilarious. Columbus has been better this year, though, even strength and on both the power play and the penalty kill. The goalie matchup tonight should be a watch. I think Dostal, however you say his name, is playing. And then the Columbus Blue Jackets are either going to roll with Hutchinson or Tarasov, but both probably watch each other out. And our guy Crash Wagers, who we've partnered with before, he's going to be giving us all these new projections, these lines, understanding value. He's got Columbus winning this at minus 123 on the money line. So we're getting a little extra value. And anytime I believe there's a 50-50 chance of something happening, I always take the underdog. So I'm on Columbus tonight.
I like that pick too, and I was thinking of taking it, but I have no interest in that game, so that's why I don't really want to talk about it. This is obviously probably the stinker of the night, I would say, if you can agree. Not much of a worse game, I feel like, when you talk about these.
No, this is one of those games that I'm going to bet. I'm not going to watch a single second. I'm going to check my FanDuel or BetMGM app at 12:30 tonight and just see the money in my account.
Piss drunk after St. Patty's Day.
I'm not even going to be. I promise you, I won't be awake when this game ends. I'll be passed out somewhere, probably on the street.
For sure. I'll go into my underdog pick, and it's a really good game tonight between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Carolina got off their schneid a little bit the other night with a 5-3 win against the Winnipeg Jets after being shut out in back-to-back games. But the Toronto Maple Leafs have lost 2 games in a row. Carolina right now is just 1 point ahead of your beloved New Jersey Devils, looking to create some separation in the Metropolitan Division, whereas Toronto, their future is pretty much set. They're probably going to be playing Tampa Bay in the first round. The points don't matter as much. Not saying that they're not going to try as hard. They definitely will, and it's going to be a great game. But as far as the other 3 games go, this just seems like the most reasonable underdog because you're getting the first place team in the Metropolitan Division at plus money. And, any night you can do that with the Carolina Hurricanes is certainly a good bet to take. And Carolina is really good on the road this year. They're 26-6 as the away team. Toronto's been pretty strong on home ice at 24-7-5. But I'll take my chances with the Carolina Hurricanes as an underdog any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I love that too. Like I mentioned in the earlier one, this feels like a real 50-50 matchup as well. So anytime you can get a 50-50 matchup, you take the underdog just because of the value alone. I bet the Svechnikov injury is kind of why they're an underdog tonight, and the Maple Leafs playing at home is going to factor in as well. But I think this is going to be a great game. This is obviously the best game on the slate in terms of talent and star power, and it's just going to be a good one to watch.
This game I probably will watch tonight, and I still don't know what my St. Patty's Day plans are, so I don't know if I'll be on the couch at a bar or whatever, but this is definitely the game my attention will be on. But let's go into your prop bet because you're sticking with that Columbus Blue Jackets game. It seems quite a bit here tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is just a fun prop bet that I had to take in honor of St. Patrick's Day. We're going to roll with St. Patrick Line to score a goal on the FanDuel Sportsbook at plus
So corny.
172. It's corned beef and cabbage, if you will, right, Johnny?
I don't get what that means.
Okay, it's an Irish food that you
I'm
eat
Jewish.
on St. Patrick's Day. Great, fantastic. Anyways, so Patrick Laine has 4 goals in his last 6 games. The Ducks are the only team this season to allow over 4 goals per game. They also allow the most shots against at 39. And I think there's just a lot of value on this line. The average across books on this market is plus 143, and our guy Crash has this hitting at plus 150, which is a 40% hit rate. So 60% of the time, this bet's not going to win. But us getting the odds at plus 172 is having better advantage than the plus 150 that the projection is. So that's why I'm on it. It's also fun to root for Laine. He scores goals, and the Ducks give up a lot of goals.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to stick with that same point, actually. And I love this play because the Ducks, like we said, allow the most shots, and they aren't very strong defensively. So I'm going with Jonny Gaudreau over 2.5 shots on goal at minus 122 on FanDuel. I always, if you can tell by now too, I always stick to FanDuel. It's the only sportsbook I really use. But to that same point, Jonny Gaudreau in his last 2 games has 10 shots combined. He's looking more offensive. He had 5 points the other night in San Jose, including the overtime winner. So he's feeling pretty good right now, I'd say, or it's safe to say that he is. But like you said, Anaheim allows the most shots on goal against, 39 each night. So I think Columbus will be able to pepper them, and Jonny Gaudreau will be a part of that. So I love this at over 2.5. I can't believe it's this low, to be honest. I thought it'd be more like 3.5. But this seems like a pretty good prop bet to take tonight.
Yeah, I think it's just at 2.5, just because Jonny Gaudreau this season hasn't actually been shooting as much as you would think. But to that point too, right, when they play the Ducks, I feel like some players' markets kind of get juiced up, whereas this feels about online with what it should be. So I think it's a good value. The Ducks just give up a ton of shots on goal. Their defense is Swiss cheese, and anytime you can take that top 6 in Columbus on an opponent like the Ducks, you take it every time.
100%. Let's go into the storyline bets. You got a guy who's getting hot right now after having quite the unfortunate thing happen to him, but it's working out in his favor.
Yeah, so my storyline bet, if Johnny will switch to it, is going to be Jacob Vrana to score a goal at plus 260 on Caesar. There's a couple reasons why we can make this a storyline bet. The first thing is tonight he's playing against his old team, the Washington Capitals, who he won a Stanley Cup with, and then they ended up trading him a couple years later for Anthony Mantha. When he went to Detroit. And then it didn't really work out in Detroit as much as he thought. He was in the player substance abuse program this season. So now he's got shipped off to St. Louis. And man, since he came to St. Louis, he's been on fire. He's been scoring. He's scoring at an insane rate. He has 4 goals in his last 5 games, including 2 against Minnesota on Wednesday in that game we mentioned earlier. He also, as Johnny mentioned, he had a little unfortunate incident. He had to take 25 stitches after taking a skate blade to the nose area during the pregame skate. And it seemed like it worked out in his favor. He's going full bubble. He scored 2 goals that game. So we're going to ride it again tonight. And we're going to hope he puts it in. His line that he's been on with Buchnevich has been really successful. And I think he's going to score again tonight.
Vrana's been an awesome player to watch and a very bright future. Happy that he figured it out and he's come back to the NHL and he's made an impact with the Blues. But I'm going to go into my storyline bet tonight, and that is Jeff Skinner over 0.5 goals at plus 168. Buffalo needs to win hockey games. They're 6 points back at the playoffs. Jeff Skinner's line is back intact with Alex Tuch back in the lineup. Those 3 have combined for 17 points in their last 5 games. That's Alex Tuch, Jeff Skinner, and Tage Thompson. Skinner has 4 goals in his last 7 games, so he's been scoring as of late, and he has 29 goals in the season, so he's looking for that 30th goal of the year. They're playing against the Philadelphia Flyers, who are not a very good team. They don't allow so many shots against, but the Flyers are very weak defensively, and this Buffalo team can explode offensively. So if the Sabres are going to win tonight, Jeff Skinner could be a guy that gets in the score sheet, and I think that he contributes tonight to a huge Buffalo Sabres win, and he gets his 30th goal, and I love the value on that play. So I'm going Jeff Skinner over 0.5 goals.
Yeah, I've been riding with Jeff Skinner a couple times this season. I was on him the other night to score a goal, and he didn't. So I think getting him here at this number, I think I got plus 172, so plus 168 is good, considering he didn't score the other night. Like you mentioned, that line's hot. The Flyers' defense is kind of like hot garbage, and they do give up a bunch of goals, even though they are actually decent at suppressing shots. So I think you can kind of stay all over this, and this kind of will play into my best bet of the night.
Let's go into that. What's your best bet, Keith?
Right into that. We're going with Dylan Cousins to get a point minus 112 on FanDuel. When I saw this line, I was shocked it was only minus 112 for Cousins to get a point. So a goal or an assist is all he needs to win this bet tonight. I actually did a little dump and change, if you will. I was on Johnny Gaudreau assist at first, but then I just saw this line. There was a little less juice and it felt a little more likely to happen. So that's why I switched it up. So it's funny that you had the Gaudreau shots on goal and I was thinking assist. But yeah, back to the Cousins point. He has 9 points in his last 10 games, 57 points on the season in 66 games played. So a 0.86 point per game pace, which is really nice. Crash Wagers, our guy, our legend. He has a projection of 0.74 points for Cousins tonight with a 66% cover rate at that over half a point, which is minus 194 equivalent odds. The Flyers also allow 3.3 goals against per game. So there's going to be opportunities for the Sabres to get on the score sheet. And I really like Dylan Cousins to get 1 point here tonight.
I like that play also. And last time you took Dylan Cousins, it turned out to work pretty good in your favor. So I like the value here a lot as well. And Dylan Cousins is a guy who has been playing really good as of late. You got something to say? What do you got?
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, right? So sometimes what I like to do is even if the value may not be there, I just like to ride with my guys, the guys who I really trust all season to kind of hit my bets. And Dylan Cousins is now on the list of my guys. He hit that plus 330 goal last week. So Dylan Cousins is a guy I'm going to ride with. I don't really bet much on Johnny Gaudreau. So that was an easy dump and change for Keith. And we're going heavy with Cousins tonight.
I like it. And I'm sticking with the same team, the Buffalo Sabres, and I'm going Tage Thompson over 3.5 shots. He's got 19 shots in his last 5 games, 12 shots in his last 2 games. He's really shooting the puck as of late because, like we said before, Buffalo needs to win some hockey games to get into the playoffs. They're not out of the picture just yet, being 6 points back. Tage Thompson's a guy that can score the puck. He's got 42 goals this year, and he is the driver of that Buffalo Sabres offense. So I think he's going to get a lot of shots on goal tonight, maybe even 5 or 6. I think over 3.5 is not necessarily a lock, but it's certainly my best bet. And I didn't want to take a team or a total because those have been bad luck for me as of late. So for my best bet tonight, I wanted to go with the player shots prop. And I'm going to my friend Tage Thompson. Hopefully he can get it done. And Buffalo should be able to win this hockey game.
Welcome to the dark side on the shots on goal bets. I love it. I haven't even taken one today, and then you're all over these shots on goals. So it really seems like I've converted you to the dark side. But like you mentioned too, one, I was surprised that Tage's number wasn't 4.5. I was surprised to see 3.5, but also at that 3.5 number, I'm surprised it isn't a little more juicier. So I really like this play. I really like this value, and I think he kind of gets it done tonight.
No, I completely agree. And I think that wraps it up for tonight's slate. There's not that many games, but do you want to talk about Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, if you want to go first on the Saturday game, and then I'll hit a Sunday game.
I'm sure a lot of people are expecting me to talk about the Rangers-Penguins game on Saturday, but I actually have my eyes on the Minnesota Wild and the Boston Bruins. The Boston are coming into Minnesota facing a Wild team that's 7-0-3 in their last 10 games. Their goaltending has been phenomenal, and we saw them play that really emotional and competitive game the other night against the St. Louis Blues in St. Louis on the NHL on TNT. But I'm looking at the goaltenders right now, and Marc-Andre Fleury and Philip Gustafsson have been incredible in their last 5 starts each. Fleury's 5-0-0 in that span with a 2.37 goals against average and a .928 save percentage. And Gustafsson is 2-0-3 with a 1.52 goals against average and a .944 save percentage. I think Gustafsson's going to get this start. I know Boston is one of the best teams in the NHL, going up against one of the hottest teams in the NHL in the Wild, who are only 1 point back of the Dallas Stars in the Central Division for first place with 1 game in hand. Minnesota Wild were a team that we weren't really talking about in the beginning of the year, and they lost Kirill Kaprizov as of late due to injury, but for some reason they're able to rally around that, and they've looked really good keeping pucks out of the net, putting pucks in the net. They've got a lot of guys buzzing right now, Ryan Hartman, Matt Zuccarello, and they're playing against a Boston team that just lost to Chicago. So I think Minnesota will be a home dog in this game, and I think they're going to keep their momentum going and show a good performance against the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I think the Bruins right now are kind of reeling a bit, and obviously they've been great all season, and you're not going to be able to sustain that for the entire season. So now's a good time where you're going to get Minnesota, a team that's buzzing, a team that's going to be home, where Boston's way better at home. They're obviously good all over, but they're significantly better at home than on the road. So I think if you're able to get Minnesota at a home dog, that's just a lot of value, and they're getting really good goaltending right now, and their offense hasn't taken as big of a step back as you would expect with the Kaprizov injury. I think early in the season, it took him a little while to get situated without Fiala. He had basically a point per game. So I think replacing that was hard. But now I think they've kind of got their system figured out, and they're really looking good as they're making this playoff push towards the end of the season.
They're becoming a pretty fun team to watch. But what is your Sunday game that you're looking at?
So I'm doing the opposite of Johnny. You guys expect me to talk about the Lightning versus the Devils, and I'm going to talk about the Lightning versus the Devils. This will be the third time in the last 4 games that the Devils have played the Lightning. The first 2, the Devils lost Tuesday in regulation, and then they lost last night in the shootout. A couple things I'm looking at, though. I mean, the Devils, both of these teams are going to be coming off a back-to-back. The Devils will be playing the Florida Panthers in Florida tomorrow, and then the Lightning will be playing at home against Montreal. So the Lightning have pretty much an easier matchup than the Devils do, obviously. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I will say, though, the Devils sport the best record on the road this season of all NHL teams. They're 25-4-4 on the road. I'm interested to see who gets the nod in goal to tomorrow and then Sunday, because neither goalie has really been playing great. Schmid has been playing a little better than Vitek Vanacek right now, for being honest, which I think is not great. I think Vitek needs to be the guy going into the playoffs that you're relying on to play well. So it's a little bit of a rough patch, but hopefully he gets it together and figures it out. Schmid played last night, so I expect Vitek to play Saturday against the Panthers and then Schmid Sunday against the Lightning. Both of these teams, though, are really close with this playoff push. The Devs are 1 point back on the Hurricanes, but the Hurricanes do have 2 games in hand. And then with the Lightning and the Maple Leafs, the Lightning are 1 point back, but the Maple Leafs do have 2 games in hand. So for seeding situations, this game's pretty important. Both teams are going to make the playoffs. But a couple lines I really want to watch are Timo Meier and Braden Point goal markets. So last night we had Timo Meier score 2 goals, and his goal market was around plus 135. So I'm interested to see if he doesn't score against Florida on Saturday, if we get that number even a little juicier on Sunday, because that would be something I'd be interested in taking. And then also with Braden Point, we got some value on him last night on FanDuel at plus 150, where the average odds across books were plus 121, and he did not score. So especially if he doesn't score against Montreal, I'd probably take him against my Devils. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I'd probably take him Sunday to score a goal against them.
What's with the Devils and Lightning playing 3 games in a row?
What's with the Penguins and the Rangers playing 3 out of 4 as well?
Well, it's 3 out of 4, not 3 in a row.
No, the Devils are 3 out of 4 as well.
Oh, it was?
They play the Panthers. They play the Panthers Saturday.
Got
and
it.
The Lightning are Sunday.
Got it. No, that'll be a tough test for the Devils, and I want them to win the division, so I'm rooting for them. I hope they can figure it out and pull it out.
But you're also betting on the Hurricanes tonight, which hurts the Devils winning the division.
Yes, that's true. I think that's going to wrap it up, though, for tonight's slate, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit more right now with Sara Civian. Anything you want to say before we kick it over to her?
No, I'm just excited for a big slate of games. Unfortunately, it's probably going to get a little shadowed by March Madness, but I really think everyone should kind of lock in. There's going to be a lot of value on the board, and I'm really excited to talk to Sarah and break down some style rankings.
Let's send it over to Sara Civian. For this episode of the Dump and Change Show, we are very happy to welcome on our dear friend from BR Open Ice, one of the better personalities in the NHL, and I guess we can call her the style queen. I don't know if you have a title with that yet, but let's welcome Sara Civian. Sarah, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? It's so funny that like this style queen thing has happened because I'm not the most stylish person. I just wanted to like show players' personalities, but I'm like, hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, and also I should say we wouldn't be doing St. Patrick's Day justice if we didn't crack open a drink. So
Johnny said he was going to get a Guinness,
Cheers.
though. No
Yes.
Guinness for Johnny.
Went to the local deli and there was no Guinness, so I'm going with a Stella.
Wow, he's actually
Also-
drinking it. I'm impressed.
Stella coffee and water.
The big
St. Patrick's
three.
Day, the St. Patty's Day hat trick. But yeah, let's just hop right into it. Sarah, this year you're with BR Open Ice. We're colleagues. We work together. It's been a lot of fun doing that. But can you just talk about all the different storylines that you cover in the NHL? Obviously, you're a Boston Bruins homer, so I think you're going to go that way. But what's been your favorite story so far this year, this season?
Well, it has been incredible with the Bruins. It's like every time you think they're going to slow down or something, they just speed back up. They got their 10th regulation loss on March 12th. Like that is absolute insanity in a league that, especially in the East, right? Like it's been such an insane race to the playoffs. So obviously that, and they weren't supposed to be good. So who doesn't love that? I love that. Like Bergeron coming back, all the right moves being made. I love the story with Jim Montgomery, right? Second chance, and then Jake DeBrusk as well after he requested a trade. It's like you got all that. And I see your Devils hat on. I really like the Devils storyline too. And the fact that they went for Meyer, like we've been waiting on them to make a big move. We thought maybe it would be goaltending over the summer, and it wasn't, although the goaltender they did pick up is doing really well. So kind of goes to show to be patient with teams a little bit. I really like the Devils storyline. Sorry, Jonny.
That's okay. I like it too.
To build off that too, I think like everyone expected Meyer to get traded to the Devils for what seemed like 2 months. It seemed just like the obvious addition for that team. They needed a forward with a little size and a bunch of skill on the wing. And so to actually see them make that move, I think was great. And they also didn't give up too much to get that kind of player, which I think was awesome. And no one expected them to do this well this season. They were like a borderline fringe playoff team. I know Dom's rankings always has the Devils model like higher than most people than what actually happens. So it's good to actually see it play out for once. Exactly.
Every team with Dougie Hamilton on it is like so good in his model.
I mean, you covered him when he was with the Canes, I'm sure. He's a great person. He's just he likes to do his own thing, which is fine, but he's an incredible hockey player.
I think he sucks. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Sarah, I did want to ask too about, because obviously you used to cover the Hurricanes. I want to get your thoughts on the Svechnikov injury and how that might impact them. Obviously, they're only 1 point clear of the Devils with 2 games in hand in the Metro. And if they had to play with the Bruins in the Eastern Conference Final, how you think that loss might impact their play?
Yeah, it just absolutely sucks because Svechnikov is one of the hardest working, most genuine, nice guys. He grew up with nothing, him and his brother, and now they're both in the NHL, or at least if Guinea is close to the NHL, he like comes up and down. But Svech will be out there for hours working on his game, and he is a really dynamic player. He has like sides to him, right? Like he's not going to always score 20 goals. I don't know. Well, he's going to score 20 goals, but maybe not always 30. But I think people expect him to be a goal scorer when he's really like always up there with hits, always up there with passing. And he's so versatile that it's so brutal when you lose a player like that. And I know Mike Rousseau reported that he was apologizing to the GM Don Waddell over and over. He's like, I'm so sorry, Don. It just like literally makes me want to cry because he's such a sweetheart. But it sucks, and the Canes should have done more at the trade deadline.
They're not scary.
It was an arms race in the Metro, and you saw every team, like in the East, even like the Atlantic, every team kind of added a couple really big pieces, and then the Canes just kind of sat, and they do what they do, right? They added Gostisbehere, they added Puljujarvi, so they're good depth parts, but they didn't really add that superstar, and now with the Svechnikov injury, that really kind of impacts their depth.
Yeah, and they've never really had that superstar. I mean, they have Aho, Svechnikov, Necas, but it's like all these really good players, and there hasn't been every season during the playoffs, the scoring dries up, and it's like you can work your ass off and you can be this really sound defensive team and have all these good players, but if you don't have that ace on the power play during the playoffs, you're going to be having a tough time.
Let's steer away from the Hurricanes because I don't give a crap about them, and I'm sure most people listening don't. Just kidding, Carolina, you're really good. And don't beat the Rangers because that'd be really upsetting.
One fella in him, and he's
just a liquid courage getting to me a little bit. But,
this is influencer Jonny now.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I thought we were gonna avoid that. I'm wearing the Faraday shirt, and I'm gonna ask Sarah a style question. Well, I'm actually not gonna ask you a style question. We're gonna do a rapid fire, somewhat style scenario. There's 13 games tomorrow on Saturday in the NHL. I'm going to tell you the matchups. I want the first player that comes to your mind in between those two teams of who has the best style, if that's okay. It's going to be a lot because 13 is a lot.
I can handle it.
All right, you ready to start it off?
Yeah.
Colorado, Detroit.
Mo Seider.
Okay, that's a good one. Actually, I would have like totally not even leaned that direction. But Boston, Minnesota.
Pastrnak.
Obviously.
Lock. Winnipeg, Nashville.
Adam Lowry.
Not Yossi?
Off the grid.
No.
Okay. Edmonton,
Check
Seattle.
out Lowry's style. Okay, what was this?
Wait, what did you say? What was
Check
that?
out Lowry's style. He looks like a really cool TA.
I actually know nothing about him, so I will look it up after. Edmonton and Seattle.
Ooh. Wenberg?
Oh.
He has good style.
Yeah,
Vince Dunn has good style too.
He loves the like all white creamy suits. I'm into that.
McDavid has no style.
Absolutely none. He's zero drip.
Yeah. Your Carolina or your former Carolina Hurricanes and the Philadelphia Flyers.
Ooh.
We stumped her.
Yep.
No.
There's too many
Freddie
options.
Anderson,
Too many to choose from.
Anderson, maybe, but he's always looking like Harry Potter. He looks like he just stepped out of England, but I'm not hating on it. But Natchez is pretty good.
I like that one too. Let's go Devils, Panthers.
Ooh, Anthony Duclair.
Ooh,
He's dripped out.
Style king.
Yeah.
Canadians, Lightning.
Oh, the Lightning have so many good ones. Oh, maybe Victor Hedman. Maybe not. Oh, it's
all the
tough.
Swedes.
The
It's always
Swedish
Swedes.
king.
Yeah, the Swedes always have good style.
Mhm.
This one's obvious. Leafs, Ottawa.
Oh,
Oh, Willie Styles.
Yeah, I mean he's the coolest. He's the swaggiest guy in my opinion.
I will
Okay.
say Austin Matthews doesn't have good. He doesn't have good like pregame looks, but obviously he's in all these magazines and has really good streetwear. So I like to see streetwear from him.
I think Willie's the coolest guy ever.
I agree.
Penguins, Rangers.
Oh, Kendra Miller.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Done.
Vancouver and LA.
Quinton Byfield when he's in the lineup, but I don't know if that counts. I guess Elias Pettersson.
We got to see Quinn Hughes step up his style a little bit.
I know, but the Canucks don't really show us much, and sometimes it's in black and white, so I'm not going to fault them too much on it. But
Dallas and Calgary. We got 3 left. There's a lot of games.
Nikita Zadorov, he called me out once. He was like,
Really?
"You have a good eye for fashion." I was
No
like,
way.
Dude, all you do is wear double-breasted suits and think you own the league. I think
That's
he's
unreal.
hilarious, though. He had a great interview with Spittin' Chicklets, and I was like, I think that guy's hilarious.
I respect that.
Yeah, I love that. Chicago, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona has been awesome because they don't have the dress code anymore.
Oh,
Oh God, but they sold like everybody that actually had good style, so that's tough. It was Arizona and who?
And Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago has no one you'd even recognize.
I can't even name like
No.
7 players in the Blackhawks right now.
Well, Max Domi. Oh, is Max Domi even on the team anymore?
No, he's on Stars.
Yeah.
Both of these teams like traded everyone.
Yeah.
I
Clayton
guess.
Keller? How's Keller's
Yeah,
style?
I was gonna say. I guess Clayton Keller with the streetwear.
And then the last one, Islanders and Sharks. Erik Karlsson. Gotta be.
Yeah, Erik Karlsson done, but the Islanders, of course, under Lou, post
Oh, no.
absolutely zero
No
pictures
style.
of themselves. Everyone's always yelling at me, of course, Islanders fans. They're like, "Why aren't our players there?" I'm like, "Show me a picture of them." I
Yeah.
don't do that.
They have no social media presence.
Yeah.
Okay, that wraps
That was
up the
great.
Saturday slate. Yeah, that was fun. Between Keith and I, better style.
Oh, I'm not familiar with Keith's game, but you know, Instagram, so
After this, I'll send you some of my style pictures, and then you can rank me and Johnny.
sounds good.
There's one thing I did want to ask you. Obviously, with the game is kind of, we all love hockey, but there's things we want to change within the game. So if we could put on our commissioner hat, our Gary Bettman hat, what is the one thing off the top of your head that you would change immediately? Like there's no question about it. This is the first thing that really bothers you with the NHL. And then we can snap it to Johnny and myself too, because we obviously have some ideas too.
Salary cap. I don't want there to. I understand why it exists, but we're just single-handedly keeping Arizona afloat for no effing reason. I'm sorry, Arizona fans that may be watching this, but it's not about you. It's just a disaster of what's happened. And just imagine, I don't know if we want super teams, but the NBA is so fun and so popular for a reason. And I do worry that these players should be making way more money off of what they're doing, right? So I think either like significantly increasing the salary cap or getting rid of it, but I don't think they'll ever get rid of it.
Well, if you look to obviously over the last 20 years, the increase from all the sports top players, Jaromir Jagr was making $10 million in 2001. McDavid's only making $12.5 million, but you have about the same $10 million in football. And now the quarterbacks are making $50 million. The NBA superstars are making $50 million. NHL players are so underpaid for their star players. So I love
It's
that.
literally like a labor issue, and it prevents true stars from coming out of the NHL because then they don't have these like whatever. It's just like they should be making more money.
My favorite thing is my boy Fitz, who works for BetMGM. Whenever like a big NHL player signs, he always says like, "Oh my God, McDavid's making Alex Crusoe money, like a 6th man in the NBA."
Yeah.
Comes up bench, like,
Literally.
yeah, it's so classic every time. It cracks me up when he does that. But
What do you guys think?
Keith, you want to kick that one off?
Yeah, I think it's the NHL Network with their scheduling because they play on the fly on repeat for 16 hours. There's no live programming until 4 p.m. Me and Johnny have been advocating for a great morning NHL show that would be live, get players' perspectives, hosted by someone like Jackie Redmond, who's an absolute superstar. I think having a Good Morning Football style show and just more live programming, getting more people involved, and not having it behind such a hard paywall to find. It's not streamable on the NHL app, which it is in other sports. And the World Junior Championships is buried on the NHL Network instead of on like an ESPN Plus, which is like the greatest tournament by far every year. And so not as many people get to see it, and you get to see all the true stars who are going to be absolute legends in this league. So I think just the NHL Network programming is pretty poor.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. And Sarah, I know we've kind of got back and forth on Twitter in that regard, but for me, I think, when the players speak out about the playoffs and whatnot too, like, I think who was it? Crosby that said he wanted the 1 through 8 again. And then Bettman comes out with a statement saying like, no, we're keeping it the way it is. Stuff like that. Just like little things, that are super fixable that like will change the game for the better that like aren't that big of a deal. I think the thought process was there with the divisional matchups in the playoffs and stuff, but I think it would be cool to see that 1 through 8 again. And then for me, just the changes, I think like, I like to see the point system change a little bit. I know the way college works, like you get 3 points for regulation win.
3-2-1-0.
Yeah, the 3-2-1 to me is just the way to go. I think teams should be a little more rewarded for winning regulation. And the overtime loss still should count for something, but that regulation win should mean a lot more. I mean, and something like us, in the betting space, the price is way better for regulation wins. So why not, in regards to the point system. But I actually want to ask another question too. We'll probably wrap it up with a fun one. Do you have any more, Keith, before we end up?
No, I was just going to say too, I know your co-host Shayna always talks about the schedule, how it's always just not staggered. And I think just staggering it so you can have constant flow of NHL games from 7 to 10:30, as opposed to 7 games that start at 7 and then they're all at intermission and you just have to sit there for 15 minutes with no idea what to do. And there's no red zone channel, right? There's like there needs to be a goal zone or something.
Oh, there should be. Okay, wow.
I tweeted that like 3 years ago.
Oh.
That was like that was like my best idea ever, I think.
It's a great idea, but that's one of those things where I feel like in theory we're all rooting for that, but there's probably a reason why it hasn't happened because it's so obvious, or maybe there isn't. But maybe maybe Shayna should do a story diving into why. I'll pitch that to her.
Yeah,
perfect,
definitely. And my final question to wrap it up: there's a lot of star players right now that we haven't seen win the Stanley Cup yet. If you can pick 5 NHL players that haven't won that you'd want to party with most at a Stanley Cup party, who are those 5? Like Pasta to me is honestly like probably number 1. Pasta seems like
I completely forgot. I mean, I'm from Boston. I'm like, 2011. I forget how young he is.
Yeah.
So young.
Pasta is a great time. He is fun. David Pastrnak. Who else? Probably Dylan Larkin because I like his competitive nature and I feel like he'd go crazy when he finally wins the cup.
I love that video of him too when he knocks over the guy's beer behind the net and warm up and like has the trainer go give him $20 to buy him a new one. That was awesome.
Oh, I can't handle it. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. Oh, no. I feel terrible.
You knocked their beer over?
Yeah, sorry. Hey, where'd Zuby go? Zuby, you got your wallet on you?
Yeah.
You got $20?
I think so. You need $20 more.
I got $20 in my dry cell. I knocked over the guy's beer.
You got what?
I knocked over the guy's beer.
Oh.
I feel bad. Right behind the net. See him in the in the Red Wings sweatshirt, first row. Yeah.
That is a great one.
He is a great guy. And who else? Okay, let me think. Who's in this league right now?
Artemi Panarin's got to be a good one too. Come on,
the bread man.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knocks back the vodkas.
I was gonna say anyone on the Leafs because they haven't won in like 50,000 years.
Mitch Marner, because I want him to have the best time of his life. This poor kid gets his dad, his agent, the Leafs, the fans. His car gets broken into. Let's get him a cup.
He's had a rough go.
Yeah, seriously. And he has a smile on his face every day. And one more person. Oh my God, this is actually a hard question. I'm thinking on the West Coast now. Who's somebody that hasn't won?
Maybe
who's been in the
Eichel?
league?
I was gonna say you could say Zegras too. Like I don't know.
No,
That's
I don't
obvious.
trust him.
Yeah, it's obvious. You want a mature Stanley Cup party.
Yeah, I don't care about the kids.
Eric Carlson,
you want to
maybe?
sip rosé out of the cup.
Yes, exactly. I would say, I'm thinking of everybody on the Canes, but who's like a fun partier? Who do you guys? Who's one more?
I'm trying to think West Coast.
I would love Jack Hughes
Club.
just because he lives right by me, and he would be incredible to run around Hoboken in New York City with.
Well, I once asked Jack Hughes what his favorite Taylor Swift song was, and he said, I don't have one, but every time I walk into a bar, it seems like they're playing Taylor Swift dubstep. So I'm like, what bars are you going to? Let's party
Welcome
together.
to Hoboken, New Jersey, baby.
All right. Me and Jack Hughes partying in Hoboken. Oh, Dougie Hamilton. Dougie won in 2011.
No,
I don't think so.
I think Sagan and Ben would be. Oh no, Sagan won with Boston.
Yeah,
so that doesn't count.
I was there for that. I'll tell you
Jamie
that.
Ben,
That guy
maybe,
is fun.
Yeah. Ovechkin. I was in DC in 2018 when Ovechkin won it, and it was just absolute scenes watching them run through the fountains, going to Don Tito's in Arlington, just having people go crazy. It was awesome.
I can't think of one West Coast player.
I know. Like who?
I said Eichel.
Carlson. You said Carlson. That's a good
I said
one.
Carlson and
on the
Eichel.
West Coast now. I don't care. I don't like BU. Sorry.
I would say I was looking at Minnesota and I was gonna say Fleury, but like Fleury's won like 3. So
Oh, you know what? Jeff Skinner. He has been in the league for 13 years
on the
and
Sabres,
has not
though.
made the playoffs once.
Really?
they haven't made the playoffs
Yeah.
once.
That's
Nope.
crazy.
Holy
Makes
shit!
sense, but that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I didn't know
Keeps a
that.
good attitude.
Yeah,
Jeff
I would
Skinner.
love the Sabres to
him.
make a run this year.
Me too.
Skinner just loves his long summers.
Yeah.
But Sarah, we want to thank you so much for doing this. You're the best, and keep up the good shit because you make the game fun.
Of course.
Do you want
so
to plug
Thanks
anything?
Well, probably this back end. No, just go to my Twitter, click my link tree. All my stuff's there.
Link tree, love that. All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks so much. See ya.
Thank you.
See ya. We really want to thank our friend Sara Civian for coming on the show. Always fun talking hockey, talking style, and just talking fun with her. Great person to follow. One of the funnier personalities in hockey, like I said before, but overall, super fun time. So thanks to Sarah once again. Keith, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I really enjoyed that conversation. I think Sarah has got a great hold on the league and kind of what are some things that the league does well and what are some things the league can improve on. As big hockey fans, we all just want to see it get better. So I think Sarah was great. And I enjoyed her style rankings too. Those are fun articles and pictures to see on social media. So she does great with that.
Yeah, we got a fun weekend of hockey ahead. Like we said, 13 different games on Saturday, full Saturday slate, March Madness. I mean, what a sports weekend. The weather's nice outside. So we hope everyone enjoyed listening to this, and we hope you all enjoy your weekend, and we hope you all win some money. But to that, cheers. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Cheers,
we'll talk
everyone.
to you guys on Tuesday.